let me know when you're ready.
Just need on the agenda. Do you have an agenda?
Have an agenda?
Yeah. There's one in the back if you can follow along. You know where to come up.
Thanks.
Remember that from school?
I do.
You want me to get what you from there?
Commander, are you going to read the proclamation?
Kelly. That's right.
What'd your phone say?
Very late. Okay, is everyone ready? Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for a short prayer and a salute to our flag? Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to the flag. Commander, if you'd lead us in the salute.
1, 2. Do the pledge.
Do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2.
Terry?
Yes, Mayor, take notice that this regular meeting of the Mayor and Borough Council being held on this 25th day of April 2016 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Here.
Grillo.
Here.
Kilpatrick. Here. Lembo.
Here.
Novak. Here. Rittenhouse.
Here.
At this time, I'm going to call the co-chairman of the Veterans Alliance, Mr. Ken Kelly, forward.
Read the proclamation, Mayor. Thank you.
Please do.
Proclamation. Whereas the annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the veterans of foreign wars of the United States has been officially recognized and endorsed by governmental leaders since 1922. And whereas VFW Buddy Poppies are assembled by disabled veterans, and the proceeds of this worthy fundraising campaign are used exclusively for the benefit of disabled and needy veterans and the widows and orphans of deceased veterans. And whereas the basic purpose of the annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the veterans of foreign wars is eloquently reflected in a desire to honor the dead by helping the living. Now therefore I, Kennedy O'Brien, Mayor of the Borough of Sayreville, do hereby urge the citizens of this community to recognize the merits of this cause by contributing generously to its support through the purchase of Buddy Poppies on a day set aside for the distribution of these symbols of appreciation for the sacrifices of our honored dead. I urge all patriotic citizens to wear a Buddy Poppy as mute evidence of our gratitude to the men and women of this country who have risked their lives in defense of freedoms which we continue to enjoy as American citizens. I witness whereof I have caused this proclamation to be issued and the official seal of the borough duly affixed this 25th day of April 2016, and that same be delivered, be attested to by the municipal clerk, Kennedy O'Brien.
Is there a motion?
I move the mayor's proclamation be approved on roll call vote.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Chairman, if you would,
Thank you.
proceed with the
Yes.
sale of the properties.
Gentlemen, and our president will be collecting from the governing body, and thank you for your time tonight.
You need a new chair. Look at that. Now my broken one. Oh. Thank you. That really hurts me.
What happened to the
Good, how you doing?
other ones that were here?
There you go.
The other ones that were up here.
We used to have the ones from last year still here.
Yes, please, thank you.
Mary? Want some water?
No, I'm good, Dan, thank you. Could you bring them up? Could you bring them up, Ken?
You want the other mic on?
Come on, everybody.
Members of the governing body, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your allowing us to be here this evening, and we look forward to this every year, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Well, before you go, if we could, we just wanted to give a very humble thanks for your service to our country, and we wanted to thank you for an excellent program on Saturday for the rededication of a 21-year-old cerebral boy who gave his life guarding the gates of freedom. Very impressive, and as always, it's a first-class program.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, may I comment on something?
Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. I'm an old detective, I remember. I think last fall I came before the council to ask for funding for the sign for the great Wayne Grant Field, and the council graciously let me have that. And probably about a week or 10 days ago, after the last council meeting, I became aware of the actual dedication date because I hadn't been notified. So when we were doing our final site work, planting, I think there was 6 or 7 shrubs and some mulch and stuff, I made a request of the borough, of the Parks Department actually, to install a flagpole at that monument. That wasn't part of the original motion that I asked for. However, the flag looks magnificent down there, and the family who lives at the end of the street look at that every day. And Mrs. Grant, who was a Gold Star mother who is deceased right now, was always her dream to be able to look out her door and see her son's name properly honored. So on behalf of the family, we initiated that project back in the fall. And so that being the case with the flagpole, I would ask courteously and respectfully of the council to approve that flagpole for that site, even though it's after the fact. And I hope my explanation would be satisfactory in that matter. So at this point, I'd like to, Mr. Mayor, if the council would act on that.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Again, gracious thank yous to everybody, and thank you for your continued support of our
thank you.
veterans. God bless you. Thank you.
Mayor, may I say something? I really want to thank you guys, too. It was a very moving ceremony,
and children need to be reminded. I mean, there were some young ones there that probably didn't understand what was going on. But the older kids, I mean, I saw on TV this morning that a class went to the 9/11 monument, and they tried to sing the Star Spangled Banner. And a security guard came over them and asked them for their permit. And they said, for what? And they said, well, that's a protest. For a class, on a class trip to sing the Star Spangled Banner is now, needs a permit for protesting. It's a sad state of affairs. And we got to start reminding our kids that, you know, for every freedom we have, there's a young man or a woman that gave their lives. And I want to thank you for that, because those kids...
You're welcome.
I mean, whenever the AA does this, we do have the Star Spangled Banner, and we do sing, and we pledge, but, you know, letting them know that, you know, somebody sacrificed their life for it, somebody from this town, it means a lot.
Thank you. If I just may take another second of your time. We had planned, when we put the sign in several months ago, to attend the dedication along with the Morgan AA kids, because we felt the same way, that they're not usually associated with things like that, and we wanted to know what that sign means. And maybe they'll remember that well into their adulthood. But we were honored that the kids were there. It was really well done. And there are other thank yous to go around. I'd like to thank Public Works, especially the Parks Department. They did a magnificent job down there. And I know they're a little short-handed, and it's real busy this time of year, but really, Phil and his guys do a great job. There are other thank yous too, two more. Rennie Travisano, and I'd like to thank Mr. Polando and the Sayreville, I checked out the Morgan AA for their cooperation in this matter. And I think, to the satisfaction of everyone, I think it looks really beautiful. I don't want to brag about it, but it really does. And the family is ecstatic about it, and we rededicated something to a young man who died 49 years ago in defense of our country. So, like I said, God bless all of you, and thank you so much on behalf of the Veterans Alliance, the VFW, and the American Legion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Okay, Terry, with that, all business?
Mayor, we have the public hearing on the following ordinance. Ordinance number 328-16, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7 of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Sayreville to amend Section 7-25.4, commuter parking.
Okay. Counselor, would you explain this ordinance very briefly?
Yeah, Your Honor, Mayor, it's basically permitting the mayor and council to allow for the implement of emergency parking measures when the borough is faced with such as Sandy or such as natural disasters, to make sure that you have adequate parking, and this allows you to do that, and that's simply what it says.
Okay, with that, I'm going to open the public portion for questions or comments. Are there any questions or comments on this ordinance? There being no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion. Councilman Grillo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Grillo?
Yes.
Buchanan?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
Lembo?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes.
Rittenhouse?
Yes.
Next order of business is the public hearing on the 2016 municipal budget. Terry, has a notice of approval and advertising?
Yes, Mayor, take notice that the 2016 budget approval and public hearing notice has been advertised in the Home News Tribune on March 18th, 2016.
Okay, anyone that has not secured a copy of the 2016 budget, please come up and get one. And at this time, I'm going to open the meeting for any questions on the 2016 municipal budget. Are there any questions on the budget? Vinnie? I'll get you, let me get the fire chief first.
Vincent Moranowitz, 185 Main Street, Chief of Sayreville Fire Department. On line item 4 for the fire department, we have to replace the laptops with the tablets. I was just wondering why it was moved back a year.
Go ahead.
We found a grant that could help pay for it, so that's what we were going to try to apply for, the grant to pay for it. That's why we moved it. We didn't want to buy it and then get the grant money.
Okay,
No.
great.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara?
Barbara Kilcummins, 22 Schmidt Street. Several items. I know we lost a lot of money from Sandy, and correct, Wayne, as far as revenue with taxes, with all the homes that are gone and everything else. But nobody seemed to tighten their belt on capital improvements. And when I look at it, we pay in bonds over $4 million, and the interest on them alone is $687,000. So I've always been tight on capital improvements unless it's absolutely necessary. To me, bonding is nothing more than a credit card, and we have to pay the price of all this bonding. And when I look over the budget, a lot of the capital improvements can be reduced, and I find waste. I find waste in public works. I find waste in upgrades on parks. And every year I seem to complain and tell you about this, but apparently it falls on deaf ears. So a lot of diligence could have been more done with this budget.
Mayor, if I could just make a comment
Go ahead.
about the assessed valuations taxable. Back in 2012, right before the Storm Sandy, our assessed valuations were $2,282,000,000 and change. This year, we've finally broke through the barrier, and we're back up over that figure. We're $2,286,000,000. So it took 4 years basically to come back from the storm, between what we've lost in rateable for MacArthur Avenue and Weber Avenue and a few other, and Old Bridge and a few other, Old Bridge section and a few other areas, as well as the tax appeals we had to settle and refund some money. So just so the governing body knows, this year we finally got back to where we were.
Wayne, what is our current level of bonding, approximately?
We have approximately 30 million outstanding in general.
And what is our legal capacity to bond?
Oh, it's probably around 150, 160 million. Yeah, we can do it.
But Mayor, I have a long line of credit. I could turn around and charge way up to 100,000. I'm on a fixed income. You worry, how do you pay it? It's on the back. It's on the backs of the taxpayers. So bonding, I don't care what the status is. It's tightening the belts of bonding of unnecessary equipment and whatnot. I've been down this road before. You know that,
Barbara,
Mayor.
I think I know what I was trying to, the conclusion I was looking to draw was, we have a tremendous capacity to borrow. We're very prudent and conservative in our borrowing. You cannot run a municipality of this size on a cash basis. You can't say, I make $10 is all I'm going to stay.
I absolutely understand that. And
So
you
we
need
try-
for
we-
emergency funds and everything else.
Well,
I'm
not
talking
only-
about unnecessary spending.
Okay.
Also, the abatements. We have given out, the industry, we have given out a lot of abatements, and the killer now, and I don't care which pocket you take it out of, school funding is the pilot for residential.
Right.
Which
That's
was
an
a
argument.
huge mistake.
Right.
So.
First of all, we wanted to get the pilots approved. If you look at it as a two-part exercise, Barbara, the first is to approve the pilot, which means the project can move forward, it can be built. Then becomes an internal discussion and maybe an argument is how the pilot will be divided between the borough portion and the school board portion, and we have not really entered into those discussions yet. That is really where I'll need and look forward to your input. There are those that say we should divide the pilot as we do all other tax dollars, and there are those that say, well, we don't have to divide it at all, and a third party might say, well, it's all coming out of the same pocket, so whether, it doesn't make any difference who gets the pilot.
But
it's a discussion that's going to come. It's not here yet.
But I think down the road, what we need is more ratables, be it industrial, be it warehousing or whatever, and stop the residential to help the residents of this community. So you really have to look, be it Sarah, all we did was give out abatements. The only thing Sarah has brought in is cogeneration, put everything into refinancing, and everyone thinks, oh, well, the point is going to bring us so much revenue. What? $19 million? That's not even enough to build a school. That addition on that high school cost $50 million.
Yeah, but
And now you want 2,000 homes. How many kids are we going to educate? So it's going back on the residents.
Hold on. When I was a member before the shenanigans happened where they excluded the mayor from the redevelopment agency, National Lead, when National Lead still owned that property, they were paying roughly a little over $300,000 a year. So they're going to go from paying $300,000. That piece of property will go from paying $300,000 to eventually paying $19 or more million. So
Well-
you need certain inducements to get people to tackle a large, complex project like that.
Right, but you know, Mayor, as well as I do, the biggest expense in this community is educating a child.
Yes.
And the more that.
I am in 100% agreement with you. Are there any other questions or comments about the budget? Being no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the public portion be closed.
Is there a second? Roll call?
Councilperson Novak?
Yes.
Buchanan?
Yes.
Grillo?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
Lembo?
Yes.
Rittenhouse?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Mayor,
Wayne?
just as a point of information for the public, the reason there is no vote on the budget tonight is that the state has been backed up with reviewing the budgets. We got an email in the middle of last week saying that if your budget is scheduled for adoption in upcoming 2 weeks, that most likely you will not get approval from the state because they're backed up reviewing. So we're one of the towns that didn't get approval yet, so we could not adopt tonight. So we have to put it off till the May 9th meeting. They asked when is the next meeting. Once they realized they weren't going to be able to review us, they requested the date of the next regularly scheduled meeting and sort of assured us that we would get the review would be completed prior to then. So the budget will be listed as a consent agenda resolution in the next regular scheduled meeting.
Thank you, Wayne. Terry, next order of business?
Mayor, I have listed on the agenda under new business for discussion on the police radio package and the resolution.
Right,
Mayor, I make a
resolution
motion that we
20
table this.
Well, hold on a minute. Let's read what it is first before we
I
jump
think
to
that,
table
I
it.
think the motion to table precedes that.
Well, I have your opinion. So
Okay.
as the mayor and as the guy who runs the meeting, let's just read what you're tabling.
I would-
Unless you're afraid.
No, I'm not afraid. I'm
Okay.
just trying to go by
Okay.
my.
All right. So this is Resolution 2001-6, a resolution of the borough to enter into a contract with Motorola Solutions and VCOM for the new police radio system. It's a 700 megahertz P25 Phase 2 system with 2 sites, Pulaski Water Tank and Raritan Street Tower. So the purpose of tabling this, I'm just curious, what is it that we're,
I would like to have a special meeting where, next Monday night, where we do nothing but discuss this and we have everybody in.
and what is it that we wish to discuss?
There are a lot of questions that need to be asked.
I mean, this has been years and years and years.
Yes, and we had approximately
Years.
7 minutes to discuss it at the last meeting in closed session, Mayor. And I think that it should be done in public, and there are a lot more questions to be answered. And I-
Okay.
Motion
Well,
on the
we'll do this one thing at a time. So you have a motion to table.
Second.
And there is a second. Now, remember, Mary,
Yes,
since
dear.
you're making the motion to table, you singularly are the only person who can bring this back to life.
Actually, it's anybody that votes in the affirmative, Mayor, can bring
Is
it back
that
up.
what it is?
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, and are there any comments?
Yes.
Please, Arthur.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't understand why at the closed session, we had plenty of time. Nobody closed that discussion. The discussion went on. It was asked if there were any more questions. Nobody had any questions. I have a big concern because the business administrator held meetings with the county administrator, and 2 of our council people called me and said to me, I'm holding meetings of 3 or less people at a time, which is circumventing the Open Public Meetings Act. I have reported that to the county prosecutor's office because of a violation just as last year, and I'm glad you think it's funny, Mary.
I really do think it's funny.
What day did you meet with the county administrator?
I met last Saturday. 2 of us met. To the best of my knowledge, there was no other meetings. We didn't circumvent anything. I had
There
questions.
were no other meetings because
There was no other meetings.
I indicated to Mr. Frankel that I did not think there should be any other meetings.
There wasn't
and
any.
to Mr. DuPont. But
So
there
your
were going to-
accusations,
there
are you
were
going to
there-
apologize for your accusations?
Wait a minute, Mary, Arthur
apologize.
has the floor, Mary.
Well, he asked me a
Okay,
question, Mayor,
and
so
you
have I
answered,
given
so
it.
you will have your chance to respond.
Okay.
It's a shame that something that for over 3 years, if not longer, has been presented, has been talked about. The Public Safety Committee has gone through it. At the closed session we had, everybody indicated they were in favor of moving forward with this. So I just don't understand why, at this point, we could discuss it tonight. Open it up to the public and discuss it tonight.
Yeah, that's why our experts are here tonight. I don't understand why we can't discuss it tonight.
Well, I'd just like to comment a couple of things. Number one, I think it's comical that, Arthur, you think that a project of this magnitude, with this amount of money that the taxpayers could potentially end up shouldering, the importance of this for all of our first responders, you just said publicly 7 minutes is more than enough time to make those decisions in.
I didn't
7
say that.
minutes. You said it was ample time.
I
It was
said there
more
were
than
no
enough.
questions asked.
No.
We said, were there any other questions? And nobody else had questions.
Before that, you said there was more than enough time. I just heard you say
Yes,
it. We
over
can
the
roll it
last
back.
3 years.
Okay, I wasn't here for the last, well, I was here, not when this discussion was brought up before. So you mean to tell me in 7 minutes, if I have questions after we left that meeting, that I can't ask any additional questions? That I don't have concerns?
Do it tonight.
I questioned them as soon as I had them. I don't wait. But I want to know, since when did you become such an expert in technology that you feel the discussion is closed and done?
Because for the last 3 years, I've been aware of this project. I was also, the day we
So-
had, I've been at meetings with this. I was at the county freeholders meeting where this was discussed.
3 years ago?
3 years ago, 2.5. I was the liaison to public safety, and I was in on meetings with the radios.
So you feel that you're an expert? It's,
No, I don't. I feel that all the questions have been asked, and if there are more questions, we can do it tonight.
so you mean to tell me you know that all of my questions were asked?
I never said that.
You just said all the questions were asked. Not all my questions were asked. I had additional questions. Am I allowed to think outside of the closed 7-minute meeting that we had? Am I not allowed to do my due diligence as a council person for these residents and for our first responders? I had questions. I'm not a technology expert. When I went home, started thinking about things, I had questions. I reached out to Dan Frankel. He could not answer my questions. Therefore, he said he would get in contact with the people that could. I have a lot of questions, and they started to be answered, but now I have even more.
Did you talk to VCOM? Did you talk to our chief of police? Did you talk to Captain Bacco, the people who were involved in this thoroughly for the last 3 years or more?
I would love to have more conversation. I think that's why.
Well, then why didn't Mr. Frankel invite them?
Okay. You know, we're
being, I just want to know, are we allowed to ask more questions? In tabling this to have further discussions, why are you rushing something? Why are you rushing something so quickly?
I'm not rushing anything.
I just want to say one thing. We had to say that we weren't rushed at the last meeting is ridiculous. We left here in closed session and told the public we'd be back in 10 minutes. We also had several other things to discuss in there, and as I recall, it was said, we got to get back in the council meeting. And I'm not going to lie, the questions that I have came to me after. I mean, everything was so rushed. This is the way we do business. First of all, I don't even have the faintest idea why that was in closed session. It was not a contract, it was not litigation, and it was not personnel.
Who called it to be in closed session?
It's my understanding that the police committee said it was told that you'll have to ask the attorney, that this was going to be contract
Okay,
negotiations.
so who of the elected officials was in the last meeting's closed session?
Everybody.
Just for the record.
Everybody.
I wasn't there.
Okay, you don't get a vote.
I run the meeting, but I wasn't there. So essentially, there was the council president who ran the meeting, yourself, Councilwoman Kilpatrick, Councilman Grillo, Councilman Lembo, and Councilman Arthur Rittenhouse. So that means there were definitely 4-2 votes there. So anything that happened there, you had more than enough control, votes, people on your side. I understand, and I've received a number of calls.
Mayor, at the time, I questioned, why are we in closed session?
I haven't finished, Mary. I have received a number of calls. There's tremendous pressure on the borough of Sayreville to buy the radio from the county. And all the stops seem to have been pulled to make that happen. Our police, our fire, and our first aid have spent the last 3 or more years researching the radio system, and now at close to the 11th hour, it's, listen, we need to scrap all that research, and we need to do a favor for somebody at the county.
Mayor,
and
would you
I
please
disagree with
stop
that.
every time, you're like a child that doesn't get his own way, so he's lashing out at everybody else. Stop the juvenile behavior. Stop accusing anybody of anything.
I'm merely stating a
Everybody can ask
fact, and if you'd
questions.
like to press a charge, and we could go to court and I could call witnesses, it would be validated. But that being said, this is politics, and this is politics at its worst.
I want to make a statement. I feel no pressure to go with any entity over the other right now. I feel no pressure. I'll be honest with you. I have a question about going with one particular company, and in the event there is some type of failure, will we be able to have some type of backup? Will we be able to go to the county like we've had to do already? I just wanted to know that. And the answer that I got in that room, when I asked the question again, it looks like there might be additional cost, or it wouldn't be able to happen as quickly and as efficiently as it may possibly need to, putting potentially our first responders at risk and being an additional burden, an economic, a financial burden to our taxpayers. That's my question, and I think that I have every right to ask that. I am not a technology wizard, but when the question was asked, I think it was by Steve Grillo, what kind of guarantee we had if a system went down, those two things are important.
Motion, is there?
Well,
No,
there's comments.
Mayor,
There's comments.
no, there is
So-
not. There is no discussion
There
on a
are
motion to
comments.
table.
Mary, I'm allowing
Kennedy?
comments.
Oh, I see.
I'm
Just-
allowing comments.
There we go again.
Yes.
The
Why
only
not?
pressure I see right now is the pressure to push something
mayor.
through from the mayor and from Mr. Rittenhouse. It's the only pressure I see. Why can't we ask a question? Why can't we have we're not trying to push anything away. I have about 5 questions.
Our
6
experts are all
questions.
here tonight. Why can't we ask them tonight?
I think this deserves, as
Is the
Mary
county
said.
here
Somebody answer
tonight?
that question.
Well,
Why
I'm going to
can't
answer it. I'm going to
tonight?
answer it. I think the reality here is we're talking about a multi-million-dollar purchase. We're talking about answers that weren't fully answered at the meeting we had 2 weeks ago, as Councilwoman Kilpatrick said. And we're talking about delaying a decision by a week to figure out if 100% of the questions can be answered, if all of the options are on the table, and if we're getting the best deal for the taxpayers of Sayreville. When we talk about, this is one of those classic situations, hurry up and wait. It's been 3 years. Let's wait a week and get all the answers. I mean, I can't understand how that's a problem. And you want to make it political, whatever. I've been sitting up here 4 months. I really don't care what system we go with as long as it's the best and the most affordable. And there'll be a guy sitting in the back of the room here who risk their lives. And I want to make sure they have radios when they go into fires and they go into police situations.
Well,
So let's wait a week and get it right.
Councilman, are we going to take their input and their consensus as to the radio system that they would like to risk their lives with? do they count, or are we omnipotent up here?
No.
And all-seeing and all-knowing?
Absolutely, we should get all the input. We had a 7-minute meeting.
No, the question was,
I answered your question. We had a
does
7-minute
their
meeting. I'm asking-
consensus as to the radio system that they're going to risk their lives with count? Or are we now the experts, the non-first responders, repaying a debt to the county?
I have no debt to the county. What we have is a meeting that occurred 2 weeks ago where we got a fraction of the answers to the questions we asked, including one that I asked specifically, as Councilman Kilpatrick enumerated, and I did not get a correct or complete answer. So, yes, I do want to get more answers, and I want to take a week, and I want to sit in a room and have a public hearing and have it done appropriately and done efficiently and done expeditiously. This, sitting here in the middle of a meeting where we have a bunch of other things to do, is not the right way to do this. This is too serious and too expensive of a matter to just push through for the sake of saving a week.
Mayor, I'm going to say it again, point of order.
Are there any other comments? All right, with that being said, roll call.
Mayor, this is a
Motion
motion
to table.
to table the resolution. I'm sorry, I was clearing my throat.
It's all right, take your time.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Buchanan,
At this time, I have a conflict, potential conflict, and I'm going to recuse myself. The conflict may go away before the next meeting.
Grillo,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Lembo,
No.
Rittenhouse.
No.
Mayor, at this time, I'd like to ask if the council would be available next Monday to sit down and have a meeting just on this, and it be an open public meeting?
7 o'clock next Monday night. Is there anyone who can't make that?
Mayor, can we ask the experts that are here if they would be available to come at that meeting? It would
Chief, if you would ask your
not
people,
service any purpose to not have the experts at the meeting.
will VCOM be available? Will your staff be available? Okay.
I need him to come to the
Chief,
mic.
if you could come forward, please.
Good evening, and I don't really want to take any more of your time. I just want to say that it is a bit, I don't know, I'm a bit distraught by what's happened, just so you know. The committee has taken a great deal of time to review this objectively, comprehensively. We have a consultant who has worked diligently to get an answer for you. He's here this evening. He has answers to the multitude of questions that Mr. Frankel has forwarded to him. I'm assuming that that's a complete record of questions. I wouldn't know because they wouldn't forward it to me. It seems in the last 2 weeks, the police committee has pretty much been dissolved, and it now is just a committee of 1 or maybe 2, I'm not sure. I'm concerned that you're playing politics with our lives, and that really is not what you should be doing. This is not something that just came up yesterday. This is something we've been doing a great deal of time and effort to getting an answer for you. And I'm not looking for a debate. We'll be here next week. We'll be able to hear and do any questions that you might have. But what I would suggest, though, is since there are 2 vendors that have been very interested in their proposals, that perhaps you ask both of them they're here as well. That way, you're going to be able to get answers from them directly, as opposed to getting answers from a third party, which may or may not be correct. So again, I'm kind of amazed by the process and quite embarrassed, to be honest with you, but we will be here Monday night. Thank you.
The meeting will be contingent upon representatives of the Harris Radio Company. Is Harris working, aside from working with the county, do they have consultants, or is it just factory reps? All right, so it'll be next Monday night, 7 o'clock, provided the representatives of the Harris Radio Company and Motorola are able to attend.
Thank you,
Chief,
gentlemen.
and to your consultants, I thank you for coming. I thank you for your patience, your integrity, your character, your diligence. Captain Batko, it's frustrating, but you're a man of great perseverance. And you do a superb job for the people of Saraville, and I thank you. To the firemen and the first aid, I know you put a lot of time and effort into this, and I ask that you stick with it. We couldn't get it done without you, and I, for one, am internally grateful, as I believe everyone in Saraville is. But this is politics at its worst, but we've gotten through it before. We'll get through it again. Okay, next order of business, Terry.
Mayor, that would be the consent agenda resolution we need to open up to the public.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up the public portion for the consent agenda items. Are there any questions or comments on consent agenda items? There being no questions, wait a minute. Is this where, what's the name of the license
There are
holder?
two transfers on for tonight, Mayor, so if there's any objections to either one of the transfers that are on.
Okay. Are there any
agenda tonight-
objection to any of these liquor license transfers? If so, please come to the podium. Please state your name and address, please.
I'm Liren Patel. Liren Patel.
Spell it, please.
Lirinpatel. I'm from Raritan Discount Liquors, and you guys are trying to permit a liquor license within 2,000 feet of our store. We're asking if you guys don't.
Okay.
It's
Counselor?
number 2016-115 on the agenda.
Well, we've done it before. Go ahead, Counselor.
Yeah, it's my understanding all the liquor licenses have been approved by the police department as well as our counsel for ABC. It's in the discretion of the mayor and council to either approve or deny based on your argument.
Okay, I see. Well, I thought there was ordinance 65.8 that says you can't be located within 2,000 square foot of another store, and our store is like 1,400 feet next to it.
Terry, if you'd speak into the microphone, please.
Sorry, I was talking to the attorney, I know that he knows, but however, that is the ordinance for where the applicant can apply for a waiver to locate within 2,000 feet of another retail liquor establishment. The applicant did apply for a waiver. All of the information was contained in that application for waiver and description as to why he feels that he could locate there. And I do know that that waiver was also delivered to the liquor establishment that is presented before you tonight. Raritan Liquors was notified.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why they're there.
All right, so the next step in this process,
We
Counselor?
need to schedule a hearing.
I'm sorry, what?
We need to schedule a hearing
On the waiver,
on the objection
right, on the objection to the waiver,
and the transfer.
right.
Are you going to be preparing an objection?
Yeah, I'll hire a lawyer.
Okay, you can, or you know, it's not mandatory that you hire an attorney.
My dad
It's always a good idea.
Yeah, my dad said to hire a lawyer, so we'll hire a
Okay,
lawyer.
okay.
Okay.
So what I need you to do is to work with the clerk tomorrow, the next couple of days, to arrange a time to come in, maybe the next meeting. How much time do you,
No.
You
He'll be
don't have the time?
notified. He'll be notified because there's a
Okay.
procedure that has to be followed, Mayor. So he
okay.
will be in, I'll be in touch with you or your father.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lauren. Are there any other questions or comments on these liquor licenses tonight? Are there any questions or comments on consent agenda items?
What you're going to do, Mayor, once you close it, we're going to pull this, right?
Right. All right, we're gonna pull 216-115 till we have a hearing on it. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move the public hearing be closed and the consent agenda resolutions be approved on roll call vote with the exception of 2016-115.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan?
Yes.
Grillo?
Yes.
Kilpatrick? Yes. Lembo?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes.
Rittenhouse?
Yes.
At this time, I'm gonna open the public portion for any questions or comments on any and all issues. Barbara?
My comment is about this radio system. I've sat here for years when they have requested a new radio system. It was on the capital improvements and all, and it was pushed back. To me, this is one of the most important things for the safety of every resident in this community. My nephew is a policeman. He had to use his cell phone to call for first aid or whatever from an accident because of blackout zones and all. So this should be a no-brainer. Even spending $3 million on this, usually I'm critical. I approve this and I approve that water purchase. What I don't approve is like $1 million spent 900 and some thousand last year on equipment we didn't need in public works. So this is a priority, and I don't think it should be political. And as far as backup, you don't have to worry about the county. The state police would back you up too.
Thank you, Barbara. Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am. Please come up. I need you to state your name and the street that you live on.
Mary Kelly, 95 Kendall Drive.
Mary, can you hold the mic up a little bit, dear?
Mary Kelly, 95 Kendall Drive. I'm the committee woman, and people have been approaching me now because of the property behind us.
Yes.
That, you know, and they want to know why now, that no one ever bothered us before, either in writing or verbally. Why is it being done now?
I have no idea. Councilwoman Novak seems to know a lot about this.
Excuse me. First of all, the person that owns the property is looking to sell it. So it's going to be sold one way or the other. Being the fact that we were looking to purchase it with open space money, some of the residents were very concerned that people had been using the property and they wanted all the properties vacated before we bought it. So that's why it was done.
But there have been other people that did own this property prior to this, and none of them ever bothered us before. Why now? That's what they want to know. I've lived there 51 years.
Okay,
You may own it, Mary.
Because the
That too, yeah.
because the property owners, because the borough was looking to buy it, the residents, the council, everybody up here wanted us to try to clear the property off before we bought it. That was the decision of the council, that we wouldn't buy it unless that was done. I'm looking to save it from a developer.
I heard no developers have approached the owner.
Well, I have heard otherwise. The people are really looking to sell the property.
All right, what happens if the people don't get their sheds? Because it was, you know, it's a letter from a lawyer we received. If they don't get their sheds or fences off the property.
If you're claiming adverse possession, you'd have to file for adverse possession, and then you could have the property. It would then be deeded to you, and you'd start paying taxes on it like the current owner is.
Mary, you may want to get together with your neighbors and hire an attorney, because there's, you know, they have this adverse possession law, and I'm not looking for anybody to take something for anybody else. But from my perspective, I had no interest in this party for several reasons. One, it's kind of a junky piece of property. Two, I've also done some research, and at most, they have a buildable lot on Cheesequake Road. Three, it's encumbered, meaning like you've been enjoying the use of it for 51 years. And there are tremendous legal issues with that. You know, other than doing a favor for somebody, I saw no reason for the borough to purchase this. And my position was, I don't think it's in the best interest of the borough to buy a piece of property that does not have clean title to it. So what you may want to consider along with your neighbors is collectively hire an attorney to represent your interests, because it's been so long.
Well, yes, the woman next door to me, it's 57 years. She's
Correct.
there.
Right.
But there are people they're doing exactly what you're saying. You know, some people I've talked to,
Yeah.
to hire an attorney.
Yeah, it's a little absurd. The governing body should not be involved in A, giving legal advice on this, or B, working to have you move your shed or your Chase Lounge or anything else. It's not our business.
Well, Mayor, that was what the council voted to do. So for you to say it's none of your business, just so you realize, the property has been assessed twice for close to $300,000.
Miss 67, and it was 55 last year and the year before and the year before that.
55?
55,
With
yes.
it was 297, am I correct?
The appraisal.
Yes.
is different than appraisal.
Okay, the appraisal was
One of the
297.
appraisals, right,
And
there's several.
the Kalaji family agreed to, since there was supposedly 40% encumbrances, particularly on the back pieces of property, the back of the lot, that they were selling it to us for half price. So we were getting for $150,000.
I know that.
But,
Well, Mary-
Jay, could you answer a question for me? Now, I know that Joe Blow could go build a house on there without any problems. But if somebody went and applied for zoning permits, what's the possibility, the outside of what they could build on there? Or what you've seen in the past?
Without variances, they can only build
Right.
one house.
Right.
It's an R5 zone, which is 8 units an acre, so if you look at the size, that's 30 units. But again, anything beyond 1 would require variances.
Okay, but if you applied for variances, which that's exactly what developers do. I haven't met one developer that has come in here and just built exactly what was allowed. They apply for several different variances. Do you have any idea, just on the outside, do you have a guesstimate at what could be put there?
I don't, Mayor, because of the infrastructure that's involved.
Jay, you need to speak into the mic, please.
Because of the infrastructure, there's no utility, so if you wanted to build multiple houses extending back beyond Cheesequake Road, you'd have to extend water and sanitary sewer lines, so all that would come into play in determining what the cost of the development would be. So I really couldn't tell you.
But it is possible that somebody could come in and build like 6 units?
As long as they receive the variances from either the zoning board or planning board, then that's a possibility.
The variances would have to be across borough property, just so you
No,
understand.
that has access to Cheesequake Road, Mayor?
The variances to build more than one house would have to be, it's on borough property,
What's on borough property?
the variance.
No.
Okay, what
are you talking about?
You're an expert on so many things, how dare I
No, Mr. Mayor,
question
do
you?
you mean an easement
Steve,
or a
you are
variance?
an expert.
I'm just, do you mean an easement?
Easement. You
Okay.
have to widen the lot. It's too narrow, and the only way to widen it is
How
to
wide is
purchase
that
the
in front?
property or get an easement from the
wide is
borough.
that
There's no
wide?
driveway. You'd be
85 feet, isn't it?
building the
85
very
feet.
old, small houses of Saraville, which there may be a market, I don't know.
I want to clarify, he meant an easement, yeah, so we're all on the same page
It's,
now.
it's
He didn't mean a
80,
variance,
it's got
right.
85 feet road frontage, that's more than enough, I believe.
Just also, Mary, so you know, we approved over 2,100 homes this year from up here. So all of a sudden, we're in one heck of a rush to prevent the construction of one home and probably the non-threat of several more. And if they were built, I just saw an interesting reality show where they're building 500 square foot homes. They would fit on the size lots that are there now. You'd have to park your car in Cheesequake Road and walk up the hill, but that's about the size house they could fit on there.
Mayor, again, this is a very sensitive area. We have a park, we have playgrounds, and if somebody wanted to go in there and build a daycare center where there would be a lot of traffic of people coming in and out, they could do that.
Where are they building this daycare? It's a 40-foot wide lot, Mayor.
In the back, it's 85 feet in
It's
the
a
front.
piece of spaghetti.
Mayor,
Yeah.
Mayor,
Okay. Mary,
I
again, I
remember-
recommend you get the attorney. You and your neighbors. Barbara?
I just, wait, I'd like to say something.
Go ahead.
But Mayor, wait, time out. You just, it's 84, Jay, it's 84 in front, right? 84 feet approximately?
Property has 84.72 feet of frontage on Cheesequake Road.
Okay, so
And what
you
is it
cut in
narrow
half.
to, Jay?
In the back, it's 63.62.
All right, I stand corrected. I'm sorry. I was off 20 feet.
That's
Oh,
significant,
Mayor,
40 feet.
Do you remember there was a piece of property that the Open Space Committee had recommended we buy on Washington Road? It runs all along Washington Road up to Kennedy Park, and you said it was only good for hang gliding, and we shouldn't buy it, nobody was gonna buy it, and it wasn't worth it, and why are we wasting open space funds? And we decided not to buy it, and then it got sold. So your knowledge of what exactly people are willing to pay money for is limited too.
Has this been developed? This piece of property across from Burke's Park?
No, because the people that wanted it wanted to build a parking lot, and they found out that they couldn't do on a county road, but
So what can they build there, Mary?
they wouldn't have bought it if they weren't gonna do something with
What
it,
do you
Kennedy.
think? And why are you afraid of them?
Them? Who's them?
Whoever the purchaser was. Are you afraid of the purchaser?
I'm not afraid of them, I'm just saying, you keep saying it's
When
not
the-
worth
when the-
anything, let's not buy
When the
it.
chiropractor built the office there on the corner of Lakeview Drive in Washington, was there some hue and cry about how it was destroying the town or something?
Excuse me?
When those two buildings were built on the corner of Washington and Lakeview, was that a tragedy for the borough of Saraville?
No?
Okay, just checking. Barbara, your turn.
I happen to know the previous owners, and for over 30 years that they purchased it at a tax sale, and she told me, she calls it the bowling alley. Her name is Carol Kasabuki, who happens to be a relative. We're all related. I'm related to her husband, to Mr. Bailey, and to Mr. Kalaje on my father's side of the family. When I saw this, I called her. She called it a bowling alley strip, a worthless piece of property that she doesn't know why her husband ever purchased it. And never once, Mary, in all the years that she owned it, was she ever approached by a developer that was so interested to want it and to put homes there. Apparently, you and Mrs. Kilpatrick, or a few, were scaring the residents there, saying the developer wants to put homes, so that's why we're gonna buy it with open space.
It's not, Barbara, the Open Space Committee has been recommending buying this piece of property for a long time, before I was sitting here.
I have a list of all the open space property. I think there is a lot more worthy purchasing of this open space. You, Mary, are the one that stopped the open space money, and there may be $5 million sitting there, which confused the taxpayer, or the residents, the voters, on the election, the way it was worded, when they came back to me on the wording of to eliminate having money deducted for open space. And now it's a big rush to take care of your good friend, Bernie Bailey, for this property.
Barbara,
and
you like
it's
to-
wrong, Mary. You know it's
You
wrong.
like to
And when I
insult
spoke
people.
to the rest of the
You don't wanna
relatives, you know what
insult
they
me?
said? Where's their conscience? Where's their conscience?
Barbara, you left your conscience a long time ago.
Excuse me? Excuse me? I think I'm the one with integrity, and have told by many people that I have integrity. Why do you think that I'm not even part of the democratic process? I'm embarrassed by all of you and your behavior and how you perform. And I'm so happy it's televised, because it's not my opinion, a lot of residents in this community. Longtime residents have changed parties. One was the former vice chair of the Democratic Party for many years, that she was honored as Mr. and Mrs. Democrat. And then another person who was on the planning board, his wife changed parties. Look at how many people have changed parties and have opted out of the democratic process. So your behavior, even just like tabling this important thing that we need desperately, and now this, I'm sorry, you're the embarrassment.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Dr. Mashevitz?
John Mashevitz, 1 Main Street. This is a planning board question. we received a letter from the Housing Authority asking the planning board to see if that piece of property on Ernston Road should...
John, this is off of Cheesequake, it goes up.
No, I
behind
know what
Rockland.
you're talking, I'm not,
Okay.
we're changing. This
Okay.
is Ernston Road property. This is that
Right.
piece of property they want to put a
The water tower?
Right.
Okay.
Right. My question is, I want some direction from the council. Do we need to put a development of needs study together for this? I know there's some animosity about putting something there or not. It's borough property. John Leon Cavello is here, our planner, and none of this is free. So if there's animosity on the council level and they don't want to do it, then we just won't do it. We won't even proceed
Well, there's
with it.
tremendous animosity on the resident level who live up there. So, Council President?
I thought this was sent to them for feasibility, but, I mean, I understand the cost factor. I mean, what would the planning board recommend? Would you go back to the planning board and make any recommendations on to do something or not to do it, and then come back to us?
Well, I can do a straw poll, but we'd like some direction from the council. Do you want to proceed with this? A feasibility study's a couple thousand.
I think first the COA settlement has to happen, and then there'll be a clearer picture of direction, if you're in agreement with that, Doctor.
I'm in agreement with that. I just wanted,
right.
we have a meeting coming up, and I wanted to answer him or.
Well, is there any pressure on you to
No.
take action? Okay, so
No.
let's, I think the COA is the first thing that needs to be finished and adopted. And then, for those of you who don't know, COA is the Council on Affordable Housing. Every town in the state of New Jersey has been given a quota of houses that have to fit in the affordable range. The rich towns, the poor towns, and all towns in between. And currently, the planning board, the town planner, the planning board attorney are all meeting with Judge Wolfson in New Brunswick, who is in charge of the COA allocations for the county of Middlesex. And it's an arduous process. So my opinion and my direction to the planning board would be first finish the COA so that we really have a hard number for where we're going.
Yeah, yes. That's fine with me. I'll take it back to the board.
Doctor?
Yes.
Quick question, please. What's the expectation of how long it's going to take to complete the COA process?
Larry, COA process?
I knew we'd call on you, Larry.
Well, we're going to meet. We're going to go into closed session on that.
Let me give a little more background. COA and Sayreville. Judge Wolfson is by standard a developer's judge. I've been on the board for 10 years. As long as I've been on the board, when he was sat in Middlesex County and listened to Sayreville, we never won a case. We just didn't win a case. If you I was talking to the mayor of South River, and who's also an attorney and did land use, and he always said to me, he was always nice to me, but always beat my ass, never gave me anything. So I think that Larry and John have done a remarkable job with this guy. I think that in this instance that Judge Wolfson has been relatively fair with us. I think that we have gotten the lowest numbers in the county. But the flip side of this...
John, it's not done yet.
I know.
And it's still in litigation, so I wouldn't talk anymore.
No, I'm not
about
talking
it.
numbers. I'm not talking numbers. Okay.
I would keep it closer to the vest if you
Okay.
would.
So they've done
Just
a
so
great
we don't
job.
end up in front of Judge Wolfson.
Well, you know what happened?
Not publicly, not on the record, John.
No.
I
COA
thank you for sharing tonight, Mr. Chairman.
COA was disbanded, and every county was given a judge.
Right.
Well, the judge in Atlantic County said that they don't need COA houses.
John,
So, but anyway,
we
thank
don't
you.
live
But
there.
that's
Okay.
that's the direction. That's the answer I wanted.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your service, John.
Yes, Dr. John, real quick, I'm sorry to bother you. How long have you been on this planning board? I know
more
you've been
than
chairman
you-
like 12 years.
14 years, something like that.
The Kaplan property, Lemire?
Yes,
Originally, that was denied for their application. Do you remember that?
I believe so.
And then they went to court, and they got a density increase because, can you?
Right.
Just
But
give that
what happened was, I don't know how they got that density. Usually they take a density from the area, and I think that might have been Wolfson. So they got twice the amount of density in the area than we had in Sayreville.
And it was on unbuildable property, so that's
Unbuildable.
why it's on the type of buildings it is now. The condos, the townhomes, and the apartments.
Right.
So you can go to, you can have a piece of property, you can build a certain amount of units, but then you can appeal it and get more density based on the total amount of property rather than the buildable.
Anything can be litigated. We're in litigation with Peter Mako for 10 years over property, the old Crosman's property, but that's another story.
Good job.
Mr. Mayor, one more question. Is it common practice to come back to the council and ask if we want to move forward with a needs assessment or a feasibility study after we've already sent it to the planning board?
See, we never got that. I never got a letter with that.
We voted on it probably, a month and a half ago or so, and we recommended they go to the obviously, I sit on the planning board, for those of you who don't know. So, because it came up to me as well, there was a question of why hasn't it been addressed by the planning board. I said, I don't know. So I guess that explains the reason, is that you had never received the paperwork for whatever reason. But is it standard to come back here and?
No.
Or you were operating on the assumption that you'd never been served with that paperwork?
Right. And I had scenes from some of the council meetings that there was animosity towards that piece of property. So rather than cause to do a determination of need, if the council's not going to direct it because it's a borough piece of property.
And I think the consensus from it, we had a long meeting a number of weeks ago, and then I met with Dr. Kelly and the Housing Authority again after that. And they had actually wanted us to just stop the process immediately, and I had to come up at this meeting. And we said, well, no, maybe it's better to have a democratic process and actually go through this and meet at the planning board and allow the residents to express their feelings to the planning board and let the planning board vote on it. So that's where we are now, and that's at least in my recommendation, and what this council had voted on was what we wanted to proceed with. So I guess there's just a mixing up of signals here, and that you didn't receive the paperwork that you were anticipating, or you didn't know about it. But that was where I thought we stood, and I thought that's where the residents thought they stood. So I just want to make it clear for everybody, including yourself, that that's where we left off at least.
Well, again, I never got it. I got a letter from the chairman of the Housing Authority requesting what we're doing. And that was the deal. I knew that there was animosity on the council, and they really didn't want to move it, so there's no reason to do a determination of need study if it's not going to pass. It's got to go through us, and then it's got to come back to the council for approval.
Correct. So are we going to have the public speak at a public meeting of the planning board?
We're going to hold off till after the COA is established.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr.
Mike?
Mike Diadio, and I'm chairman of SERA. Did I miss a step here? Was this already put in the redevelopment zone? Was that voted on?
What?
This piece of property?
Which piece of property?
Ernst Road?
Yeah, I thought that's what we recommended, that the planning board
How
give
can
us.
it go into redevelopment unless it's declared an area in need of redevelopment?
Well, that's where I was, that's where we
Yeah.
left off. And that's where I was when I talked about it up here on this council, that we go to the planning board and they would determine, like SERA voted for this to be put in the redevelopment zone, regardless of the plan. And the next step is it goes to the planning board and they determine whether it is a zone and piece in need of redevelopment. And then it goes to the council to decide to rezone that piece of property, regardless of what would go there. And you're already talking about COA regulations would have no bearing on anything if this property isn't in the redevelopment zone. So I'm asking you, did I miss where this was put in the redevelopment zone? Did you vote on it?
I don't think it was
I
voted
don't
on.
make all the meetings, and I'm being very serious.
Well, that was my question to the doctor and Mr. Sachs, is why wait if we don't know what's going to be on the site? It could come back and say, don't touch it, leave it as open space. It could say, turn it into a park. I don't know. Why are we waiting? I'm really confused about where this process went off the tracks, because I thought it was very clear a month ago.
The next step is the planning board decides whether if the property is in need of redevelopment. They make that determination and send it to the council. Then you'd vote on whether it's a piece of property that should be put in the redevelopment zone, and you rezone it. There are no plans. SERA was never presented with plans. It has nothing to do with COA. We could send a plan to the planning board if you decide that you want commercial, or if you, and I've come up here and said, I really don't think that's the best use for the property. So really, COA has no jurisdiction over this unless the council votes that you want housing there. But you haven't even decided whether it's going to be in the redevelopment zone or not. So we're missing a couple steps here. This has nothing to do with COA at this point. And I'll stand corrected if I missed anything, or Jay, if you want to correct me on this. Am I correct?
The matter was referred to the planning board. The planning board has not discussed it. They've not authorized a study to see if it meets the criteria for redevelopment.
Right, for redevelopment, not housing, not COA, it has nothing to do with COA. There's no need to wait for a judge to decide anything. We need the planning board to decide if this piece of property meets the criteria to be put in a redevelopment zone, then the council will vote on it. That's where we are right now, unless I missed something.
No.
Thank you.
Just the residents who live in that area who would prefer it to
And you're
remain
correct.
open space.
And they'll get their say at a public meeting, but we're so far away from that now. And Mayor, you're jumping the gun way ahead, getting a judge involved with COA. We're nowhere near that. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Being no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to open up the agenda portion of the meeting now.
Do we have a new agenda? Yep.
Okay. We're going to open the meeting with a salute to our flag. Everyone please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Terry, notice of publication?
Mayor, take notice that this agenda session of the Mayor and Borough Council being held on this 25th day of April 2016 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Here.
Grillo.
Here.
Kilpatrick. Lembo.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Rittenhouse.
Here. Old business?
Mayor, we have listed under old business, we need further discussion on the amendment to the revised general ordinance 4-19, which is the employment of off-duty police officers. I do believe that Mr. Frankel had distributed the changes to you this evening.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on this? All right.
Wayne? Wayne?
No, the only comment I might have, I noticed that the administrative fee wasn't increased. $4 of it now is going to be going to the service company that's going to be doing the scheduling. And I'm just wondering if I don't believe that administrative fees ever been increased since the ordinance was
What's your
instituted.
recommendation?
That they increase it $5 so we continue to get the same $5 that we received before. We
Okay.
still have.
Any objection to that?
Okay.
So wait, that would go to 9 then, is that correct?
No, no, from 5 to 10. In the ordinance, it says $5. So you go from 5 to 10.
So we'll be getting.
So we're gonna get 6.
Right.
Okay, I just wanna make, okay, we're not getting 5, we're gonna get 6.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments on this? Mr. Gumbrecht, do you have any input on this? Yes, sir. If you'd identify yourself, please.
Doug Gumprick, President, Cerebral PBA Local 98. Mayor, after going through the ordinance, I noticed that there are quite a few things that were omitted that were part of the original ordinance. Workman's comp fees, that's not addressed here. It was addressed in the original
That's in there, isn't it?
ordinance. It says in the one I have here, it's going up, administrative fees is $5 per person assigned to private entity. But I don't see in here where it has any workman's comp built into it.
It should be 4-19.4, Section B.
You're right.
B, I'm sorry, what is it, Mayor?
I believe it was in there. It says $7 for workman's comp. It's not in here at all.
Yeah, I had seen it before, yeah.
Yeah. Is it in a different spot? Wait a
It was in
minute.
the original ordinance, he's right, he's correct.
It's not here. I mean, furthermore, the union brought a proposal to the mayor and council. And we weren't part of any negotiations that took place. What I would recommend here today, seeing that there's a lot of things that come out of the chief's office that you're removing from his abilities, first of all. And the borough, by going to a outside vendor, exposes no liabilities on their behalf, if I'm not mistaken. The vendor takes on all responsibilities and recoveries. Is that correct? Okay.
Covering the money.
Okay, but in here, you're taken from the chief of police with the approval of the governing body. Why is that? Why are we using the governing body as the end-all, be-all?
It's
wanna
with the,
explain it?
if I may, go ahead, John.
If I may, because the chief has requested a private company. That private company has to be approved by the council. If that private company, let's say, you didn't like them, or we didn't like them, or something like that, it would be up to the governing body to make that change. So the police chief or the council's governing body approval. That's why it was put our governing body's approval.
Okay. Going forward here, there's some more other things in the ordinance that you're writing that you're stricken from the copy I have. You're taking out any deposits that a vendor may have to come up front with.
I'm on finance, so I'll explain that. The company is going to put all the money up front. So the vendor being like Public Service or Jersey Central or Berkshire, whoever is employing the police officers to do police duties, they will be, the company will collect from them. Because previously, the police officers by law have to be paid whether or not the borough recoups the money. This case, by doing it this way, we will be getting the money, and this other company is going to be responsible for going after the vendors, so we're not left holding the bag, because I believe we have quite a bit of money outstanding from vendors. It gets to be quite expensive.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to ask here today is that rather than approve this ordinance on a reading, it should be tabled so that the chief, myself, and we can meet with the Public Safety Committee to have further discussions on this.
This is just the agenda meeting. This is the discussion.
Doug.
Okay, all right. I was under the impression that it was going to be part of the ordinance tonight. So is there going to be further discussions and that the chief and myself will be included?
That's fine
If
with
they
me.
like it, no objection to that.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Dan, why don't you set it up with the attorney?
Well, I should set up with the public safety chairman, correct?
Yeah, I have no objection.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll be notified of a meeting before any further act is on this.
Do you want, I'll ask the public safety chairman, do you want your committee?
Yeah, we'll get the
And do you
committee
want
together.
the chief? Or do you want?
Absolutely, the chief.
I think it's
what-
prudent to have the chief and myself there because it encompasses both of us.
And a PBA president?
That's fine.
Yeah. Is that $7?
Okay,
All right, so we'll be notified of when we're going to be
right.
meeting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Okay, just a comment on the items that he said were excluded and they were in there before. I have the, and I didn't prepare the ordinance, but the attorney could maybe answer. Section 4-19.6 through 4-19.9, I believe, there's
Left it
probably no
alone.
changes to it. So
That's
that's
what-
why they're
that's
not
why.
included in the amendment.
With no
That's correct.
changes.
Yeah, because what's in this ordinance is only the changes that are.
Right,
are
that's what I
proposed.
figured.
Do you have
Yeah, so I
the,
just
Doug, do you
figured.
have the complete ordinance?
Yeah.
I just have the short copy, short version.
Right.
The complete ordinance we do have at headquarters.
Yeah, the work copy was,
I'm gonna
that
stop
they
by.
were-
Okay.
council was working off,
I just
of,
made a note.
you know, did include those items, but the ordinance amendment only includes those items that are going to be amended.
Just have
changed.
Okay, all right, thank you.
419.6 is unchanged. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on this ordinance? All right, communication and committee reports, Administration of Finance, Councilwoman Novak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mayor. Okay, Administrative and Finance, I move that the following minutes and reports be received and filed as listed on your agenda 1 through 4.
Is there a second?
Second.
Next item?
Okay, I'd like to have approval for the various bingo and raffle licenses that appear on the agenda under Section B, 1 and 2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Next item?
Okay, tax appeals received, forward them to the tax council.
Next item.
Okay, request received from the tax council for authorization to cancel taxes. Did we, is that gonna be on the, didn't we, isn't that on our agenda for this week? Didn't we just approve that? No? Okay. I guess it was
Any
just one of
objection? Next item.
Okay. Mayor, other than that, we really worked very hard on the budget. I would have liked to have had it approved today so we can start to conduct business. As everybody's aware, until the budget is approved, we're operating on a temporary budget. We really can't proceed with any projects that might be very beneficial to the town. And hopefully at the next meeting, we will be able to approve that. Other than that, thank you.
Thank you. Planning and zoning, Councilman Grillo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Move that the following minutes and department reports be filed. Construction officials report, the zoning and code enforcement report, and the fire prevention report, all for the month of March 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
Next item.
Received the following planning board resolution that were memorialized on March 16th, 2016. Number one, from Shishu Prem LLC, 2909 Washington Road, approval of preliminary and final major site plan with a bulk variance for a child care facility. A request to purchase or trade property located on Mason Avenue for property on Smith Street. And received the following notice of an application before the May 4th, 2016 Planning Board meeting seeking preliminary, final, or minor site plan approval waivers under the zoning ordinance variances for property located at 2909 Washington Road.
C, Steve.
Oh, I apologize.
You're still on C.
I read all that, you didn't stop me?
Yeah, Steve, with
Yes.
respect, Councilman, with respect to the request to purchase or trade, I'm not quite sure how we as a borough can trade the property. I'm not quite sure also if this is open space, so maybe what and I've just told the borough clerk, tomorrow I'm going to see her after my court appearance, so if you might allow me just to discuss the request in greater detail so I can report back at the next meeting.
Absolutely. It looks like it's vacant lots in a residential neighborhood that the city, the borough owns. I don't.
We're not allowed to swap.
Yeah. Okay.
Would the council be interested in selling?
Well, let's have open space take a look at it. All right?
So send that
Bless
to
you,
him.
Terry.
So we'll refer that to...
Now, section D, Steve.
Thank you. Received the following notice of an application before the May 4th, 2016 Planning Board meeting seeking preliminary, final, or minor site plan approval waivers under the zoning ordinance for variances for the property located at 2909 Washington Road.
Okay, next item.
That's all, Mr. Mayor. Progress.
Thank you. Public safety, Councilman Lembo.
Thank you, Mayor. Move the following reports to be received and filed. The Board of Health reports for the month of March 2016, Court Administrator's report for the month of March 2016, and the Police Chief's report for March of 2016.
Is there a second? Next item.
Also need approval for Melrose Host Company Number 1, accepting the application for regular membership for Louis F. Quatiak at their September 8th, 2015
Any objection? Next item.
Request for a coin toss at the intersection of Washington and Ernst Road from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. received from the Saraville Leprechauns
Any
for
objection?
August 27th, 28th.
Anything else, Councilman?
That's all today, Mayor. Other than that, progress.
Thank you. Public Works, Councilwoman Kilpatrick.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. The Rent Leveling Board minutes of April 12, 2016, and all Public Works Supervisors reports for the month of March 2016.
Is there a second? Next item.
A request to hang promotional banners received from St. Stanislaus Costas Parish to display 4 promotional banners at the following locations announcing their annual carnival on June 22nd to the 25th, as listed below.
Any objection? Next item.
That's all, Mayor. Progress.
Thank you. Water and Sewer, Councilman Rittenhouse.
Thank you, Mayor. Move that the following minutes or reports be received and filed. Water and Sewer Director's report for the month of March 2016.
Is there a second? Next item.
Okay, just a thank you to the council for approving the work of Rutgers on the consent agenda tonight. I think that's going to do a lot to help those areas at Weber and MacArthur and on the other end of town. And other than that, progress. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Recreation Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following minutes be received and filed. The Recreation Director's report for the month of March 2016.
Second.
Next item.
Letter B, application for a special event. They're looking to have, on May 20th, from 6 to 9, permission to float small battery light lamps on the pond.
Any
in memory.
objection?
No, I'd like to have that approved.
Any objection? Next item.
Number 2, Cerebral Engine Company number 1 is looking for approval for their 100th anniversary parade and picnic on June 25th. I'd like to have that approved.
Any objection? Next item.
And are we able to reject the next one? It's resignation of Courtney Moore from the Human Relations.
Courtney's moving out of the area.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're losing a good member here.
Very
so,
good member, excellent member.
Unfortunately,
Nice
have
guy.
to receive and file and accept it.
Anything else, Council
Yes,
President?
through Jerry, on May 14th, the Saraville Rec Department is having a fishing derby. Registration begins at 8:30 at Kennedy Park. The derby actually takes place from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Also, this year, instead of having a borough garage sale in the Borough Park back here, they're actually having a town-wide garage sale, and you can register with the rec department at SaravilleRec.com. And they are also still have bus trip tickets for the Yankees on June 24th against Minnesota and August 26th against Baltimore. All these events and more could be found on SaravilleRec.com. The library is having on Saturday, May 14th at noon, a Meet Your Neighbors Celebrate Irish Heritage, and there's going to be free fun, entertainment and education for the whole family. So go to the Saraville Library on Saturday, May 14th. Other than that, progress.
Thank you, Council President. A week ago, yesterday, I had a car accident, and I spent a couple of days in the hospital. And I just want to thank everyone for their really wonderful and heartfelt get well cards, good wishes, best wishes. Very appreciative. I'm back to work, and that's why they call it an accident. With that, we'll go to the Business Administrator's report. Dan Frankel.
Thank you, Mayor. I need authorization to affirm the borough's civil rights policy as required by our CGIF for the Safety Incentive Program.
Next item.
Request from Green Team to amend Chapter 9, Animal Control, to include tethering restrictions as well as restrictions on animal housing, kennels to protect them from inclement weather.
Can we have them coordinate that with the Board of Health?
Yeah.
Because that's really where these laws come out of, the Board of Health. There's really a
Yeah.
barking dog ordinance if I,
Part of it, those tether, I can do that, sure, but
yeah.
It's the tethering, what's happening.
Yeah, they're leaving the animal tethered in the backyard all
Right,
day, and
and-
it's barking, and it's not good for
Well,
the
it's
animal.
tethered, it's not only,
Right.
it's the weather and all that.
But let them coordinate it with the Board of Health would be my recommendation. Is there any objection to that?
No.
Okay, next item.
Mayor, under public safety, I just want to read something which I didn't put in the packet, but on April 30th, which I believe is Saturday, the Office of U.S. Department of Justice under the Drug Enforcement Administration they're having a day which is called the National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, which aims to provide a safe, convenient, and responsible means of disposing of prescriptive drugs, which also educating the general public about the potential of abuse of medications. I know we are not doing the program, but I know around surrounding communities are, but I do know that we have a prescription drop box at police headquarters. So for the residents, this is very important. If you want to get rid of any kind of pills, capsules, anything, we do have a drug drop box at police headquarters. And please, April 30th is the day, so we'd like you and encourage you to do that.
May I just make a point on that, too? When we first set this up, a lot of people didn't realize it, and so I'd like to reiterate it again. It is not safe to flush your pills. It seems like a safe thing, but it winds up getting back into our water system. So please don't flush your pills, or this begins to build up in the water system after a while. Thank you.
Next item.
And Mayor, also, and I guess we'll go under public safety. I was approached today from representative of the Morgan Fire Department. They actually have acquired a piece of the 9/11 structure steel that has fallen. They are looking to do commemorative type structure at the Morgan Firehouse.
Yeah, former Mayor Zagata is working with them to
Well,
get that
they,
done.
they just want to, they just want to know, they would like, I know they're volunteer, they're asking just our permission, they'd like to do a GoFundMe page, they want to do a representative, they're asking our permission to go ahead forward to see if they could raise money.
Any objection?
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I don't-
They sold bricks when they were trying to,
Right.
put it.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying that they were allowed
Let
to
them
raise
come
money
back to it, it's a
before.
problem. Okay.
volunteer
Anything else? Next item, Dan?
organization,
Authorization to extend contract 2014-9 for rock salt of Morton Salt of Chicago as needed basis for the final 2-year term.
Any objection? Next item?
Also in Public Works, again, not in your packet, which was given to me today. I just would like to read this. This is from our Pride in Our Community, because we've had some people that had some issues, but it was Earth Day. On Saturday, the Sayreville Recycling celebrated Earth Day at Kennedy Park. In total, 73 volunteers joined us from the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the Sayreville Recycling Commission, and the Green Team. Although the day started out with some drops of rain, that did not deter the children and their families on the community volunteers to clean around Kennedy Park. I know when I first arrived, and this is from Elise Barone, I know when I first arrived, I thought the park looked pretty good, but we did end up collecting 17 bags of garbage, 12 bags of recyclables, 1 tire, assorted wood, and one little girl counted 603 cigarette butts. This event provided an opportunity for all of us to do something meaningful for our community and to do our part to care for the places where we live, work, and play for this and future generations. It was great to be able to join these children and community volunteers making a difference. So kudos to the recycling committee and
To Elise.
To Elise.
Next item?
Authorization to award contract to International Fireworks of Douglasville, Pennsylvania for the Independence Day celebration to be held in Kennedy Park for July 2nd, 2016, a rain date of July 3rd, at a cost not to exceed $17,000.
Next item?
Authorization.
Yeah.
I did that, yes. Authorization to execute an amendment to the Home Serve Marketing Agreement to provide a 10% discount to all new members and 10% reduction in price for all current members and distribute the current money in the fund to existing Sayreville members.
Next item?
Authorization to contract with the following for water treatment chemicals, I'll just say 1 through 5.
Next item?
That's it, Mayor.
That's it. CFO's report, Wayne Kornowski.
The first item is a supplemental appropriation we need for the renovation of the former water treatment plant project. There was some unforeseen cost dealing with the line stop and new service that comes into the old building. Jersey's JCP&L pole relocation change order that was previously approved at this council meeting for work within the building, and engineering and architectural fees. Also a contingency plus bonding cost of $20,000 for a total of $200,000. I can have it ready for introduction at the next meeting.
Next item?
A bond ordinance in the amount of $400,000 for the replacement of the water main in Quaid Street. Jay can talk more to this. There's bids were received for the reconstruction of Quaid Street. Some of the approximately $180,000, I believe $170,000 of the funds are going to be from community development, but there's a component in there to replace the water main, which is probably more costly than some other streets in town, and Jay can give the reason why. So.
Mayor, it's an existing 4-inch water main. Typically, when you redo a street, you address the infrastructure, so you would upgrade it to an 8-inch. Quaid Street is a concrete roadway, so it's more costly to go through and break up the concrete to be able to go through and install that new water main, so that's why you have the increased cost.
Okay, I have one other item that I want to bring up that wasn't on the agenda, but after hearing the discussions tonight, the police radio. I noticed the resolution is mentioned about awarding a contract.
You can't.
Actually, I don't think you can award a contract without the funds being available. Once, after Monday night, when which solution the council is going to pick, I can get a figure, and then I can have an ordinance ready for introduction at the next regular scheduled meeting for that, so not to prolong it. It's going to take 2 meetings in order to approve the funding for it, at which time formally the contract can be awarded. I mean, I guess you can have a resolution of the intention of the governing body as to which solution they're going to go with, but as far as awarding a contract, I think you need the funding in place. I have to certify to the availability of funds. So I'll have that ready for the next meeting, okay?
Jay Cornell. Engineers report, Jay Cornell.
Thank you, Mayor. One item this evening, Kennedy Park Parking Lot Improvement Project. It dates back to 2007. There was a contract to do improvements back then. Majority of the work was completed. There were some minor punch list items that were never done. It's been going back and forth, trying to go through and get the contractor to complete the work. Because of the time frame that elapsed, Wayne wants to get this off the books. We met with Mr. Dupont. He suggested we just go through and close out the contract, not issue any final payments to the contractor. That way that money can be used to complete the outstanding items. So we need a resolution closing out the contract.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. Borough Attorney's report.
No report, Mayor. Mayor, before we go on, can I ask Jay a quick question, if I may?
Right ahead.
This past week, a resident stopped me and asked me, if you remember a few years back on Madison, the end of Madison, we had a lot of rain and there was a collapse on the hill and part of the road and the fence went off the hill. I know we had discussed it back then, some ideas on how to resolve that issue, and then it fell off the table. Can you just refresh my memory what we
I think
talked
it
about?
was cost prohibitive. It was probably, from the top of my head, $500,000-$600,000 to go through and just stabilize that slope. So I believe you had the borough's contractor, B&W, go in and do some temporary repairs to go through and try to stabilize that slope as best they could in a cost-effective manner.
Okay, do we know how sturdy the hill is now, or, you know, what it is? Because the resident's concerned of getting hit again and losing more of his hill and property and to go down the hill. He actually asked if we could go down and put tree stumps or stuff like that on the hill to try to shore it up a little bit.
We can take a look at it. We'll speak with Mr. Bailey, and we'll take another look to see what the condition is. But there was a detailed report. I can provide the council with a copy of that as far as what the costs were. But I
Okay.
believe it was cost prohibitive back then, and the borough did what it could to try to resolve the problem.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Young lady in the audience with the black blouse, are you here for a school project? Sitting with her mom. You're that interested in local government.
Good for you.
You impress me, young lady.
Terry, can I ask a question?
I expect to read great things about you. Okay, we're gonna go, did you want to say anything at the public portion, or are you just here to observe? All right, we're gonna go into something called closed session, which is for contract or litigation. So you're gonna be sitting out here for probably 10, 15 minutes or more, and then we'll come back to the meeting, open it up for the, you know what? I'm gonna do the public portion first, and then you can all go home and have a hamburger or something.
Mayor, I just want to ask Terry something. Terry, do you remember, you said you were going to try to find the original applications for the brothers for the Human Relations Commission? I do have them. You do have them?
I thought we approved them.
Well, no, we couldn't approve them until the ordinance was changed. We changed the ordinance. Now we just need to approve it if you'll.
I have to check to make sure that there was a spot now.
All
We should
right,
replace
go
them
ahead.
too.
I think we have so many vacancies, I'm
Because
pretty
look
sure.
into it,
Check it
have it
out.
ready for the next
Check it out,
meeting.
Terry.
Thank you, I appreciate
Okay,
it.
Barbara, I'm going to open the public portion for questions or comments on any and all issues. Barbara?
Barbara Kilcummins, I'm sorry I didn't mention this at the regular meeting, but kudos go to Ken Kelly and Rennie Travisano on this Wayne Grant sign. And I have to comment, they went through the proper channels, and I think it's an example of how they went about erecting a sign on public property. They went to the Board of Education and the council to have this done. And speaking to the Grant family, they were very grateful. One of the sisters, there were 3 girls and 2 boys in the family. Charlie Jr. still lives in the old Grant homestead.
Yep.
The 2 sisters, one came from Oregon and one came from Georgia to honor their brother. and it was very meaningful to them. I was totally impressed with Mr. Kelly's program, and I'm glad that the AA ball players, all the children, got to see this. And I think it's very, very important. But kudos go to Ken Kelly and Rennie Travisano for this. One comment too, my husband commented to me, and a lot of old Morgan residents know this. Wayne's father, Charlie, was very active with all the children of Morgan. He started the Boy Scouts for the kids in Morgan. There are several people too for the Morgan area. John DiPaolo and my brother-in-law Joe did the charter for the Morgan Panthers. So you have a lot of old timers that were interested in what went on and for this honor to the Grant family. So I think that's important. Another thing, I missed 2 meetings, and I went to look online and the meeting wasn't there. And I was wondering why, to watch it online. So the last 2 meetings and also Sarah meetings were not online.
I don't know the answer. Dan?
Go ahead, Dan.
Go ahead, Art.
The last council meetings were up today.
Oh, they
The
can-
CIRA meeting and I believe Planning Board, because they don't have the proper equipment, they're on cable, but they're not up, but they will be up with the new equipment.
Because I checked, I think
It-
this
no, it
afternoon.
went up about 2 o'clock, believe me.
Oh, okay.
It went up
Because I
about
checked
2
this
o'clock this
afternoon to
afternoon.
look and to see what I missed.
No, I happened to be here when, and I asked the same question, it had just been put up.
And it's just another comment that I'm extremely grateful to former Councilwoman Lisa Eicher for instituting this and having all the meetings put on. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, sir. If you'd state your name and street, please, for the record.
Nicholas Menenti, 101 Kendall Drive, Parlin. I missed my opportunity to speak earlier on the Cheesequake property issue.
No, you can speak about it now.
Okay, thank you. Not to rehash everything that's already been spoken. What my question was is, at the, I believe it was the March 28th meeting, question was posed to, I believe it was the attorney, as to the status of the fences being removed or the sheds being removed. Did you ever get an answer on that?
Counselor?
Yes, we had the opportunity to meet with counsel for Mr. Kalaji. They were working on it. He provided a status. I provided a status to the mayor and council. We also met with the borough engineer and the borough administrator to go over things. The construction official was also going out to verify what fences are still existing so that we can then notify Mr. Kalaji's counsel, Mr.
Why are we doing this work? I'm really a little lost on this.
Well, I think what we were doing, Mayor, we were doing our due diligence with respect to what encumbrances are out there.
This is a little silly, using
According-
borough resources to buy a piece of property that the borough doesn't need and the people don't really want. But
The borough is the purchaser, correct?
Correct.
You're
So, Miss-
spending the money to do the surveys and...
No, we haven't done,
No,
we
no,
haven't,
no, no,
we
no.
haven't done, we haven't done any of that. What we were trying to do is verify the representation that have been made by Mr. Kalaji's counsel.
So we haven't got an answer yet, though, as
No,
far as the
we-
amount of fences that have been removed.
No, because we provided Mr. Kalaji with our response, I'm sorry, Mr. Bain. Mr. Bain was going to get back to us with respect to what easements are still, well, not easements, encroachments are still on the property.
Letters went out in January. To the best of my knowledge, not many, a couple of the houses did remove the fences. Not many were removed since then. I own my house since 1991. It's documented that the encroachment is there. We knew it was there when we purchased it. However, the prior owner indicated to us that they did their encroachment back in '72. So that's 44 years that we're encroached. This is the first letter we ever got to remove our fences. I don't think that would be a problem with the neighbors, as long as they're given an opportunity to do something. This property has been part of these houses for over 40 years, in some cases. I think if an opportunity was given to purchase the property, that would keep it on the tax rolls, as opposed to become an open space where it would immediately leave the tax rolls. I don't know, can the town assist with that? It would benefit the town.
You know, you raise a good point, and that's what the
That's
borough...
exactly what I said.
What the borough is trying to do is verify exactly whose property is encroaching on the Kalaji property. My next step, to be honest with you, is to call Mr. Boehm to verify what steps he's taken since we last met. But there's been no surveys, there's been no engineering done on the property, so right
None.
now this is very, very early.
What about the CME report?
That was done a number of years ago.
That was done a
It was
long
done 3 years ago.
Yeah, right.
So it's not valid?
No,
I'm
no,
not
no,
saying
that's
it's not
valid.
valid. I'm just saying that there's been nothing since the contract was proposed.
Understood. Well, again, the notices to vacate just went out in January.
Right.
But we didn't pay for that. That was done by the property owner's attorney.
Okay.
And the last report I got was that 29 letters went out for various encroachments. Some were no more than a couple of inches, like 3 or 4 inches onto the property. 9 people responded back. All of them said that, I don't have the list in front of me as exact addresses, but of the 9 people that responded, they either said that they had moved it, they were willing to move it, and one person said they're not going to move it, but they don't care if we take it down. So, you know, I would have to sit here, and I haven't had the opportunity to look on the map and see which of these 10 it actually, or 9 that it actually was that responded. But we said at the last meeting that we'd like Mr. Kalaji's attorney to write again and let everybody, I'm really in favor of, if people really want to keep the property, particularly up in the back, that we do, and I don't know what it will entail. I mean, I imagine Steve would be able to handle this better, and allowing the people, you know, to keep the property, but it would have to, somehow the property would have to be transferred to them and be on the tax rolls if they're going to be using it.
Right now, we're trying to meet. We're trying to look for a place to meet as neighbors.
You can meet here at Borough Hall.
Anytime.
Just get a hold of Terry, you can come under my name. You meet here in one of the rooms or here in the chambers, depending how many people you have. Just set it up with Terry tomorrow. Give her a couple of dates, and if the room is open, any group of borough residents can do that.
Okay, I wasn't under that impression.
Yeah, sure,
okay.
sure.
That'd be great. That'll be the first
Okay.
thing.
You own the buildings.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Being no other questions or comments, take a motion to close the public portion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, with that, we're going to go into closed session.
Now,
Larry, how long are we going in for? You want the back room or the front room? If we go in here, it's going to go quicker. If we go there, it's going to go longer. Okay.
now
Well, we
therefore
can
be
just sit back
resolved
there.
by the mayor and council of the borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, the public portion of this meeting is hereby adjourned in order that the governing body may meet in closed private session for approximately 15 minutes to discuss litigation involving COA personnel. Following the conclusion of said closed session, the governing body shall reconvene the open portion of the meeting to consider any other matters. Minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentialities, then the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be resolved that the public excluded in this resolution shall take effect immediately.
I move the resolution be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Mike.
Remind me to ask Terry this before we're done.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I know you sent me a letter. I work in New York City, so it's like near impossible. All right, yeah, I just want to make sure what we need to do.
what you can do.
For the technology. Fred Block, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Jersey, and bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the same.
Established in the United States.
So the government is established in the United States.
And
in the state.
Under the authority of the people.
Under the authority of the people.
And faithfully.
I will faithfully.
Justly. Perform. All the duties as. IT board.
I guess so. Yes.
A member of the IT board.
Member of the IT committee.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my
So help me
ability.
God.
So help me God.
Okay, great. I'll send the oath out to you in the mail. Sign it, turn it to me.
Great.
Great.
All
All right.
Thank you.
I remember all that.
I did, but I guess that's experience.
Oh, well, I know what you've been doing.
Luckily, there's no fire. And then, right, and that. Yeah, that could have been, not bad. Homeowner claims, the neighbor called, starting to set on fire, stop. And we got, he didn't want to report. So then, yeah, we went to take a report, and then we found out.
Wayne, you'll miss me when I'm gone.
That's a nice thing. You'll miss me when I'm gone.
I will.
That's it, man. Could be.
Good night, Councilman Limbo.
Take a motion to go back into open.
Second.
Take a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone. Have a pleasant evening.
Sounds good. Safe.
Good night, Mary. Good night, Vicki.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.